One second, everything feels calm, and the next, chaos takes over. Traffic, bad news, that person who knows how to push your buttons, the constant pressure. And there you are, stuck in a whirlwind of racing thoughts. Why is it so hard to stay calm? Why does it feel like your own mind is working against you? Here's the hard truth. If you don't train your mind, it will control you. But what if I told you there's a way to take back control? That there's a path, followed by some of the wisest people in history, to find peace, even in the heart of the storm. Stoicism teaches us that peace doesn't depend on what's happening outside, but on how we choose to respond. Today, you'll learn how to train your mind to stay calm, even in the most chaotic moments. No matter what's happening around you, in the end, you only have two choices: control your mind or be a slave to it. Before we begin, let me tell you the story of Tomás. Tomás was 33, had a more or less stable life, and one dangerous habit. He bottled everything up: work stress, hurtful comments, small and big disappointments. He kept quiet, kept going, as if nothing was wrong. But inside, his head was a hornet's nest. Every night he came home and, without knowing why, would blow up over nonsense. The neighbors being loud, the mail didn't arrive, the toaster's not working, nothing serious. But all it took was a spark to make him explode. One summer night, everything boiled over. His partner said a simple sentence: "You're always angry." And then, boom. Yelling, slamming doors, accusations flying. But that's not the surprising part. What's surprising is what happened next. Tomás stormed out, slammed the door behind him, and wandered the streets for hours. Around dawn, he sat down on a bench in a park and pulled out his phone without thinking. Opened YouTube, and the first thing that popped up was a video with this phrase: "You can't control what happens, but you can control how you respond." It was a video about Stoicism. He had never heard of it before. Sounded strange, but since he had nothing to lose, he let it play. And that's where everything started. He didn't sleep that night. He stayed up watching videos, reading about Marcus Aurelius, Epictetus, Seneca. And for the first time in his life, something clicked. These weren't just pretty quotes. They were painful truths that set him free. It's not things that upset us, but our opinion about them. The more power something has over you, the weaker you are in front of it. Choose not to be hurt, and you won't be. Tomás realized something no one had ever taught him. Calm isn't a gift, it's a skill, one you train. From then on, he started making small changes. Before responding, he'd breathe. Before complaining, he'd observe. When he felt that tight knot in his chest, he'd go for a walk. Sometimes he messed up, of course, but something had changed. He was no longer a slave to his impulses. Anger still came knocking, but now he knew he didn't have to answer. And little by little, without anyone really noticing, Tomás became a different person. Someone who didn't react to everything. Someone who didn't need to yell to be right. Someone who understood that true control isn't something you show. It's something you feel on the inside. My friend, maybe you're not Tomás, but I'm sure you've had moments where your mind drags you places you don't want to go. And maybe, like him, you're about to discover that calm doesn't come when everything outside is fine, but when everything inside is steady. Today I'm going to teach you how to train that, so you don't depend on traffic, your boss, the weather, or other people's moods to be at peace. Today you're going to discover how to train your mind to stay calm even in chaos. And believe me, if Tomás could do it, so can you. Let's get started. Before we continue, if this content is bringing you value, consider subscribing and becoming an exclusive member to get access to unique perks. And tell us in the comments, what will you do today to take control of your mind? Or simply write, "I'm a Stoic. We want to grow together with you." 1. Who's in charge here, you or your mind? Let me guess. You've had those days when it feels like your own mind is working against you. You wake up ready to take on the world, but one small setback and everything falls apart. You make a mistake in an email, and your mind starts whispering that you're a failure. Someone makes a rude comment and you spend half an hour replaying what you should have said. Or worse, someone cuts you off in traffic and suddenly you're angrier than when your favorite team loses the Champions League final. That's what the mind does when you let it run wild, like an untamed horse charging in every direction with no aim or reason. And if you don't train it, it'll drag you through the mud without mercy. It doesn't matter if your goal is to stay calm, make better decisions, or just live with less stress. Because if you don't take control of your mind, it will take control of you. Picture this. You're in a meeting, relaxed, having a calm conversation when suddenly someone drops a sharp comment, a venomous jab disguised as a joke. It hits like a punch to the ego. Your blood starts to boil, your heart races, and your head floods with clever comebacks to put that person in their place. But hold on, is that really necessary? Or is it just your mind pushing you to react without thinking? This is where you need to remember Epictetus. He said it clearly centuries ago. It's not things themselves that disturb us, but our interpretation of them. Think about it. Was that comment really so bad? Or is it the meaning you chose to give it? Let's say someone tells you, "You could have done that better." You can take it two ways. If your mind goes into panic mode, you translate it as, "I'm incompetent, they must be disappointed in me." And suddenly, you're mentally digging through every mistake you've made in the last few months, sinking deeper into self-doubt. But what if you gave it a different meaning? What if it was just a neutral observation, an opportunity to improve, not an attack? The words are the same. The difference is in how you choose to interpret them. The real problem is most of the time we don't even notice our mind is messing with us. The amygdala, that primitive part of the brain wired to detect threats, reacts in milliseconds. The problem? It doesn't know the difference between a lion about to pounce and a passive-aggressive comment. To your brain, danger is danger, and that's why you need to train it. You can't let your mind run the show. Calm doesn't show up by magic. It's trained. It's strengthened. It becomes a habit. So, how do you take control? First, use the 3-second pause. Whenever something sets you off, take a deep breath and count. 1, 2, 3. That tiny pause is enough to let your rational brain step in before your instincts go off the rails. Second, rewrite the story you're telling yourself. Instead of thinking, "They disrespected me, I have to respond," say, "I'm not wasting my energy on this." It sounds simple, but it completely changes how the situation affects you. And third, activate observer mode. Imagine you're watching the scene from the outside, like it's a movie. How would the wisest, calmest character in history react? They wouldn't get rattled over something so small. My friend, if you don't take control of your mind, someone else will. And most of the time, that someone is the automatic reaction that ends up hurting you the most. So the next time anger, frustration, or fear come knocking, remember the reins are in your hands. It's up to you whether you use them or let your mind run wild. 2. Don't let anger make you lose. Picture yourself driving peacefully down the highway. Everything seems under control, until suddenly, the steering wheel starts turning on its own. You try to straighten it, but it won't respond. It jerks side to side like it has a mind of its own, speeding up and ignoring the brakes. Panic takes over because you're no longer the one driving. The car is taking you wherever it wants. That's what anger is like. 1 second you think you're in control, and the next you realize something else is calling the shots. It drags you along, makes you say things you didn't mean, react in ways you'll regret, and when you finally manage to stop, all that's left is damage. Because anger doesn't just throw your mind out of balance. It also pulls you away from what you truly want. Calm, clarity, the ability to handle anything without letting it knock you off center. If you need proof of how anger can wreck everything in a second, just look at Will Smith at the Oscars. Everything was going great. It was his night. He was about to win the most important award of his career. Then Chris Rock made a joke about his wife. And what did Will do? Nothing. Because anger took over. He got up, walked straight to the stage, and without a second thought slapped him live in front of millions. One impulse out of control, 1 second where his mind grabbed the wheel without asking, and his public image went straight off a cliff. Years of respect and admiration gone because he didn't stop to think. Was it really worth it? Seneca made it clear centuries ago. The one who gets angry suffers more than the one who caused the offense. Because in the end, the person who throws the first jab forgets it in minutes. But you keep carrying the anger, replaying it over and over in your head. Seneca had a rule to avoid becoming a slave to anger. When someone tried to provoke him, he gave himself time before reacting. He knew the mind doesn't give the best advice when it's angry. So, how do you take back the wheel when anger tries to rip it from your hands? One of the most powerful things you can do is let it pass without grabbing onto it. Neuroscientist Jill Bolte Taylor discovered that anger, biologically, only lasts about 90 seconds. You're telling me you can't handle 90 seconds? Come on. Some ads last longer. But you know what the problem is? In those 90 seconds, you feed the anger. You replay what happened, think about what you should have said, how unfair it was, and without realizing it, you've turned 1 minute of anger into hours, days, even weeks of resentment. So here's something you can try. Next time you feel that wave of heat rising, don't do anything. Just notice it. Count to 90 and breathe. If you don't hold on to it, it'll fade on its own. Moving also helps, a lot. Anger is physical. You feel it in your muscles, your rapid breathing, that tightness in your chest. If you stay still, it builds up and explodes at the worst moment. It's like a pressure cooker that needs to let off steam. Have you ever tried clenching your fists tightly and then slowly releasing them? It doesn't seem like much, but doing something physical takes the power away from the impulse. And here's another trick. Ask yourself, will this really matter in a week? In the moment, everything feels massive, final, unbearable. But with a little distance, you often realize it wasn't worth it at all. Next time something pushes your buttons, picture yourself a week from now, looking back. If you don't think it'll matter, then let it go now. Think about it. If anger solved problems, all the people who yell and slam tables would be the happiest people in the world. But since that's clearly not the case, the smartest choice will always be to channel that energy into something that actually matters. So the next time your mind wants to hit the gas without brakes, remember, you are the one in control. 3. Calm is not for the weak, it's for winners. Picture a battlefield. The ground shakes with every step, the air is thick with tension. Screams echo in every direction, and the clash of swords sounds like the world is breaking in two. Everything seems out of control. In the middle of the chaos, soldiers are running. Some attacking without thinking, others shouting orders no one hears. It's total disorder. And then through the noise, he appears. A warrior who doesn't rush, who doesn't raise his voice, who neither runs nor retreats. He walks with purpose. His breathing is steady, his gaze calm. He doesn't get swept up in the panic around him. He observes, he calculates, and when he acts, he does it with precision, not out of impulse. That's the one who commands real respect, the one who doesn't get caught up in the frenzy, but instead owns the moment. Because calm isn't cowardice. It doesn't hold him back. It guides him. It gives him power. Now think about the world we live in. These days it seems like the louder you are, the more you interrupt, the more aggressively you respond, the more right you appear. As if losing your cool was some kind of power move. But what if it's the opposite? What if real strength lies in staying calm, in not letting yourself be dragged down, in not giving the performance everyone's expecting, in standing firm while everything around you shakes? Marcus Aurelius understood this better than anyone. He wrote, "The best answer to anger is silence." And he didn't say that out of weakness. He said it because he knew that when you react with rage, you hand over control. Staying silent doesn't mean you feel nothing. It means you're choosing not to feed the fire. Real strength is in restraint, in observing calmly, and only acting when it truly matters. And Simon Sinek says something similar today. True leaders aren't the ones who shout or try to dominate with force. They're the ones who stay composed in the middle of chaos. The person who, when everyone else is panicking, keeps a clear head and knows what to do. Whether it's in a company or in your own home, the one who stays calm ends up leading the rest. Why? Because they inspire confidence. Their calm is contagious. And that, my friend, isn't something you're born with. It's something you train, you practice, and it changes everything. Now picture this situation. You're negotiating with your landlord to fix the damp spots on the ceiling, and you see him starting to get defensive. Your first instinct might be to raise your voice, cut him off, show your anger. But that's where the difference shows. Because if you stay calm, speak firmly without losing your temper, you don't just keep your dignity, you gain authority. You don't come off as weak. You come off as someone who knows exactly what they want and how to get it. So how do you train that kind of calm, the kind that really matters when things get messy? First, take strategic pauses. When a situation heats up, don't rush to respond. Give yourself a few seconds. Sometimes a short silence carries more power than a long speech. It makes the other person stop, rethink, and realize they're not in control of you. Second, use the rhythm of your voice. You don't need to yell to be heard. In fact, the louder you yell, the more you lose credibility. But someone who speaks slowly, clearly, and without hesitation, that person has everyone's attention. Calm has its own kind of volume. And third, practice the Stoic gaze, the one that doesn't respond with anger or disdain or fear. It simply watches, steady and composed. Because when someone tries to provoke you and you meet them with that calm stare, completely unfazed, they're disarmed. They expected an outburst. What they get is your peace. Remember, that warrior who moves silently through chaos isn't weak. He's the most dangerous one of all. Calm is a strategy. It's a sign of power. It's what separates those who just react from those who lead. And if you master that calm, if you learn to hold on to it even when everything shakes, then you're already winning, no matter the situation. 4. Life isn't fair, so what? Yeah, I know. It doesn't sound nice. But let's be honest from the start. Life isn't fair. Period. It doesn't matter how hard you work, how kind you are, or how much you sacrifice. Sometimes someone doing half of what you do gets all the credit. And while you're giving it your all, someone else gets ahead by cheating, by luck, or through connections. Is it unfair? Absolutely. Can you change it? I'm afraid not. So what do we do with that? Because I promise you this, staying stuck in anger, in complaints, or frustration is only going to make your mind more chaotic. And as you've seen by now, if there's one thing you do need to train, it's your ability to stay calm when everything around you seems unfair. Not long ago, I heard the story of a woman named Marta. She had been working as an admin assistant at a company for over 10 years. Responsible, punctual, always on top of everything. She applied for an internal promotion. She had all the experience in the world, but they gave it to someone who had only been there for 6 months and just happened to be related to the boss. Marta felt invisible, and yes, it hurt. A lot. But what could she do? Ask life to be fair? Get angry with her boss, make a scene, lock herself away at home and sulk? Of course not. Marta understood something Epictetus made clear centuries ago. Don't ask for things to happen as you wish. Wish for them to happen as they do, and you'll find peace. That phrase wasn't just a quote. It became her compass. Because asking life to be fair is like getting mad at the rain for making you wet. You can complain all you want, but you're still getting soaked. Or you can open your umbrella, accept what is, and keep walking. Marta didn't stay stuck in what she couldn't change. She chose to act from a place of calm, and that's when her path started to shift. Today, she works at a company where her work is valued, where she's even training new employees. The injustice she went through didn't magically disappear, but she didn't let it steal her peace of mind. Now put yourself in her shoes. Or better yet, think of a moment when something similar happened to you. Maybe it was a scholarship you worked your heart out for, a project you poured yourself into, a conversation where you were honest, only to end up losing. Your mind wants to explode. It tells you it's not fair, that you should scream, that you deserve better. But if you let yourself get dragged into that storm, you lose clarity. you lose energy, and you lose control. So here's my challenge to you. Try the acceptance challenge. Just for one day, try not to complain about anything. Not the traffic, not your boss, not the weather. Just observe, accept, and focus on what you can control. It might sound silly, but trust me, your mind will notice. It'll stop chasing things that aren't up to you and start calming down. And if acceptance feels too hard, believe in something that helps you let go of control. Call it whatever you want, universe, destiny, life itself. Or if you want something more fun, picture having a Stoic GPS guiding you. Turn right, your boss was just unfair. Keep going straight, don't stop. Trust, it all makes sense. Sometimes we just need to believe there's a plan behind the chaos to keep our peace intact. My friend, if there's one thing that will help you train your mind, it's learning to stop resisting what you can't change. Life doesn't always treat you the way you deserve, but you can always choose how to respond. Now tell me in the comments, what's one situation you went through that felt completely unfair? And how did you handle it? We're all here to read your story, support you, and grow together. Because this community is also a space to share and to rise. 5. Losing control is your choice. You've probably been there. You're calmly waiting in line at the supermarket and suddenly, someone cuts in front of you like it's nothing. They look at you, smile like everything's fine, and move right ahead. What do? Yell at them? Boil with rage? Or do you take a breath, stay calm, and decide that this isn't going to ruin your day? A study from Yale University found that when a person believes they have control over their emotions, they automatically react more calmly under stress. In other words, it's not magic. It's not that some people are born with superpowers to stay cool. It's that they choose to think differently. It's a decision. And yes, you can choose it too. Because no one, absolutely no one, has the power to take away your peace, unless you hand it over. Epictetus put it plainly. Remember, it's not enough to be insulted or harmed. You must believe you've been harmed. Meaning it's not the comment, the look, or the gesture that hurts you. It's what you do with it in your mind. See? It all starts there, in how you decide to interpret what's happening. And that's where your mind can either betray you or become your strongest ally. Because if you're not trained, your mind reacts for you. The amygdala, our primitive danger detector, kicks in and boom, you're snapping back, throwing sarcasm, or shutting down completely. But if you take the reins, you can pause that impulse before it wrecks your day. Here's a technique that saved me more than once. I call it emotional airplane mode. Just like when you switch your phone to airplane mode and everything disconnects, you can do the same with your mind. Picture this. Instead of reacting instantly, you hit an invisible button and everything goes quiet for a moment. That pause gives you just enough space to decide, does this even deserve a response, or should I just move on? Trust me, I've tried it. At family meals, there's always someone who has to comment on how I look. Have you lost weight? You look tired. You should eat more. It used to get to me. Made me uncomfortable. I'd spend the whole day replaying those words. But now, when I start feeling that reaction building up inside, I hit emotional airplane mode. I breathe. I stay quiet. And I don't let that comment decide how I feel. And the best part? It works. The person on the other side is waiting for your reaction, but you decide not to give it. Here's something else that really helps. Ask yourself a simple but powerful question. Do I really want to give this person control over my mood? Just asking that kicks in a more rational, conscious part of your brain, and that's when calm starts to win. Think about it. If we lost our cool every time someone annoyed us, we'd be living with the blood pressure of a volcano. And you're not here to explode, you're here to grow. So next time someone tries to push your buttons, remember this: losing your temper isn't inevitable, it's a choice. 6. Connect with your body and calm your mind. You're in the kitchen, your head spinning with 1,000 things. The rice is boiling, your phone won't stop buzzing. The kids are screaming, And in the background, email notifications keep coming in. Your breathing speeds up. Puff, puff, puff. Your chest tightens, your hands start to sweat, and you feel like you're about to explode. The worst part? Nothing truly serious has even happened. But inside, it feels like a storm is about to hit. And there you are, stuck. Your mind is off on its own, jumping from one thought to the next like it's trapped on a roller coaster. You don't even know why you're so anxious. And you definitely don't know how to stop it. But what if you knew how to control your mind in that exact moment? What if you had a reset button that gave you back control just when everything feels like too much? Here's the secret: move. It's not random. It's not something I just made up. A study published in The Lancet Psychiatry showed that regular physical activity reduces the likelihood of experiencing severe stress by 43%. 43. That's huge, right? It's basically like having an invisible shield against anxiety. And it makes sense. When you're stuck in your mind, what you need isn't more thinking. It's to come back to your body. Feel your feet on the ground, breathe deeply, move your muscles, step out of the mental whirlwind through something as simple as walking. Seneca knew this centuries ago. He recommended going for walks to clear the mind and think more calmly. And he said a line that sums it up perfectly. No wind is favorable to the one who doesn't know where they're going. What does that mean? That when you're caught in a mental storm, you can't expect the wind to take you anywhere good if you're not even holding the wheel. But when you move, even just one step, you're already changing the direction of the wind. So, my friend, if one day your mind starts dragging you through stress and tension, don't just sit there chewing on your thoughts. Get up and move. Even if it's just for a few minutes. You can go for a mindful walk. No phone, no music, just you, your steps, and the world around you. Pay attention to the trees, the sky, the sounds. It's like slowly finding your way back to yourself. Another option? Shake it off. Yes, really. It's called shaking, and it's all about moving your arms, legs, neck, freely, like you're shaking the stress off your body. It might feel silly at first, but trust me, when you're done, it's like taking off a heavy coat made of cement. And if you're short on time, stretch like a cat. You've seen them when they wake up, right? They stretch out long, yawn, and move every part of their body. Do the same. Stretch your arms, your neck, your back. In just 2 minutes, you can feel more relief than even 10 positive thoughts could give you. Because look, your mind might be in crisis, screaming that everything's falling apart. But if you move your body, at least the rest of you won't panic. And on tough days, that's a win. Remember this: when your mind is in chaos, stop thinking and start moving. You'll feel the difference. Because in the end, only calm will take you where you truly want to go. And that calm doesn't always start in your head. A lot of times it starts in your feet. 7. Calm is always an option. Has it ever happened to you? Everything seems fine and suddenly your mind starts acting suspicious, like something's off. You say, "I feel calm today," and then a sneaky thought shows up. "I probably forgot something. This is too strange. Something bad's about to happen." And just like that, in seconds you go from peace to a wave of irrational anxiety. Like your mind, instead of enjoying the calm, is afraid of it. A lot of people think staying calm depends on everything going well. If traffic flows, if the boss is in a good mood, if no one disagrees with me, then yes, I allow myself to be at peace. But what if calm wasn't something you're given when the world behaves? What if it's a decision you can make, even when everything around you is falling apart? Seneca understood this so deeply, it's like he lived with an invisible shield. He said, "The more power something has over you, the weaker you are in front of it." And he didn't say it to sound wise, he had lived it. He advised emperors, witnessed betrayal, exile, death threats. And still, he kept choosing calm. Can you picture Seneca with an emotional switch built into his toga? Someone tried to provoke him, and with total composure he'd hit his inner serene mode button. No drama, no explosions, just control. Today, psychology has a name for that: emotional regulation. And no, it's not a trait you're born with. It's a skill you train. Those people who always seem calm, the ones who don't lose it even when things go south, they weren't born with a special chip. They've practiced. They've messed up plenty of times. But they've learned how to respond instead of react. And yes, we all know someone like that. That friend who never loses it, who in the middle of an argument calmly sips their coffee and responds like it's nothing. Sometimes it even feels like they live on another frequency. And you think, how do they do it? Well, they've probably figured out that calm isn't a reward, it's a choice. And losing it helps nothing. One thing that's helped me is something I call the emotional plan B. You know what it is? It's deciding in advance how I want to react when a tense situation shows up. I know, it's not easy. There will always be something or someone trying to push your buttons. But if you've already got your emotional plan in place, you're much more likely to keep your cool. You can also create your own calm zone. It doesn't have to be a physical space with candles and Zen music, though if that's your thing, go for it. It can be something as simple as listening to a calming song, going for a walk, reading for a while, writing down what you feel. It's your mental rest space, a place you can return to when life gets too loud. And there's a phrase I repeat to myself whenever I feel like everything's about to overflow. I can be part of the problem or part of the solution. I say it to choose, right in that moment, whether I want to add tension or bring in peace. And the moment I choose peace, everything starts to shift. My friend, your mind will try to pull you in every direction. It'll push you to react, to yell, to worry about things that haven't even happened. But only you decide whether or not you play that game. Only you choose if you let yourself get carried away, or if you plant your feet on the ground. And if calm is an option, if it's always there, waiting for you, then why not start choosing it more often? Because the more you choose it, the easier it gets to return to it. And the more you return, the freer you become. 8. You are not what happens to you, you are what you do. My friend, people can betray you, you can lose your job, you can lose everything you have. But what truly matters isn't what happens, it's what you do next. Because there's something no one can ever take from you, no matter how hard life hits. Your control over your mind. That's your strength, and that's where everything begins. Let me tell you a story that's sure to inspire you. It's about Brian Albacete Oliver. Maybe you know him as Brianator. From the moment he was born, it seemed like everything was against him. Spina bifida, degenerative muscle atrophy, and a wheelchair as his constant companion since childhood. With that alone, anyone would have thought his life was limited, defined by what he couldn't do. But Brian chose something different. He chose to fight with what he had. He chose to laugh at limits. He chose to dream big. One day, he turned on a camera, opened TikTok, and started creating. And no, he didn't do it looking for pity. He did it with humor, with creativity, with authenticity. Today, millions of people follow him. And not only that, he stepped into the world of cinema, earned the respect of an entire industry, and ended up nominated for a Goya Award as Best New Actor. Do you see it? He didn't choose his body, he didn't choose the obstacles, but he did choose how to respond. And that decision changed everything. Brian is not what happened to him. He's what he did with it. And that, my friend, is what you can do too. Because that's where the real power of a trained mind begins. The kind of mind that refuses to give up. Epictetus said it clearly. You cannot choose what happens to you, but you can choose how you respond. And that changes everything. Because if what happens to you is what defines you, then you're doomed by every mistake, every loss, every bad season. But if what defines you is what you do, then there's always a way forward, always a path to move on. Now think about this. If bad experiences truly defined who we are, we'd all be the villains in our own stories. With what we've lived through, what people have said or done to us, we'd be throwing things out the window like in a soap opera. But of course not, because what really defines you is what you choose to do after the chaos. Picture this. Your best friend, the one you trusted most, goes and shares a secret they swore to keep. one that leaves you exposed, one that even costs you your relationship. The world crashes around you, rage, disappointment, unanswered questions. And right there, your mind starts firing off thoughts in every direction. But if you let them carry you away, you'll only make the pain worse. You'll yell, seek revenge, shut down, and stay stuck. But there's another way. And it starts with a pen and paper. First, write down 3 things you could do in that situation. Doesn't matter if they seem small or even silly. The simple act of looking for solutions pulls you out of victim mode and into action mode. Also, stop labeling what happens to you. Sometimes what looks like a disaster today is what pushes you to do something incredible tomorrow. That friend's betrayal, for example, might be the very push you needed to focus on yourself, to grow, to surround yourself with people who truly have your back. So every time something hurts, ask yourself, what can I learn from this? You can't let your mind trap you in what happened or in what didn't go as planned. So now tell me, if you're not defined by what happens to you but by what you do, what story are you going to write with what you've got right now? Because that story, your story, starts the moment you decide not to give up. And to do that, you need a strong mind, a steady mind, and a calm one. 9. Learn to breathe and you'll master your mind. Did you know that the way you breathe can be the difference between freaking out or staying calm? And no, it's not magic. It's pure science. The strange part is, we do it every single day, non-stop, but almost never pay attention to how we're doing it. And that, my friend, is where the trap lies. Patrick McKeown, one of the world's leading breathing experts and author of The Oxygen Advantage, explains something simple but powerful. Most of us breathe wrong, too fast, too shallow. And what does that do? It activates our sympathetic nervous system as if we were face to face with a lion, even if all that's in front of us is an email from the boss or an awkward conversation. It's like your body screams maximum alert for things that don't deserve it. And when that happens, the mind loses control. It speeds up, gets confused, blows everything out of proportion. But if you control your breathing, then you can start controlling your mind too. Marcus Aurelius made it clear in his Meditations, if you are troubled by something external, it is not the thing itself that disturbs you, but your judgment of it, and you can change that judgment at any time. And the fastest way to change that judgment, believe me, isn't through thinking, it's through breathing. Because when your breath is calm, your judgment calms too. The other day I was listening to a podcast by Jefferson Fisher, lawyer, communicator, and emotional management expert, and I was hooked by what he shared. He talked about the importance of stopping and breathing before responding in tense situations, especially in courtrooms. He explained how lawyers often ask sneaky questions, the kind that rattle you and push you to react instantly. For example, imagine they ask, "So, would you agree that you saw the car parking, but since you were in a hurry, you decided not to wait and hit it?" The usual response would be to jump in and say, "No, that's not true." But Jefferson suggests something different. Pause, breathe, look them in the eye, and then calmly reply, "No, that's not true," but with a calm, steady voice. No rush. See the difference? It's not just what you say, it's how you say it. The one who breathes and takes their time is the one who commands the room. And that's exactly what you can do. Next time you're in the middle of an argument, a tense meeting, or even when everything seems to be crashing down, do what Fisher says. Breathe before you respond. Give yourself 2 seconds. Those 2 seconds can change everything. And if you're at home feeling overwhelmed, your mind spinning in 1,000 directions, here's a technique used by many clinical psychologists to calm the mind. The 4-7-8 breath. Inhale for 4 seconds. Hold for 7, exhale slowly for 8. Repeat the cycle 4 times. It's like putting out a fire from the inside. It relaxes your body and gives your mind back its control. You can't let your mind toss you around like a leaf in the wind every time something happens. Only calm will take you where you really want to go, and breathing is the doorway to that calm. So here's a challenge for you. You don't need anything. You don't even have to move. Just breathe consciously for 1 minute. Inhale slowly. Exhale even slower. And then tell me in the comments, how do you feel? Did you notice the shift? Because that small action might just be the first step toward taking full control of your life. 10. Don't obsess over the past or the future. Being stuck between what already happened and what might happen is like trying to drive while staring only in the rearview mirror, or being so focused on the GPS that you forget to look at the road. You can't move forward like that. You'll either crash into what's right in front of you or get completely lost. And the worst part? You don't even enjoy the ride. You're just tense, stuck in your head, trying to control the uncontrollable. Marcus Aurelius didn't sugarcoat it. Man lives only in the present. The rest is either gone or hasn't happened yet. And this was someone with an entire empire on his shoulders. Now imagine for a second if Marcus Aurelius had gotten stuck on every decision he made. What if I shouldn't have sent those troops? What if that law wasn't the best call? He'd still be sitting on his imperial couch, paralyzed by doubt, while Rome crumbled around him. Most people live exactly like that, in the mental loop of what if. What if I'd chosen another career? What if it happens again? What if I lose everything? But my friend, what's the point of worrying about what you can't change, or what hasn't even happened yet? The mind is incredibly skilled at leading us down roads that go nowhere. And if you don't train it, it'll drag you around in circles all day long. That's where anxiety and sadness show up. Anxiety about what might go wrong tomorrow. Sadness about what didn't go right yesterday. And while your mind is busy jumping back and forth, you're missing the only thing you can actually control: what's happening right now. Let me share something that might sound familiar. You're overwhelmed. Your mom insists on organizing your child's birthday her way, like you don't have a say. You're frustrated, holding back all day. Then, on impulse, you grab your phone to vent. You write a long message to your partner, spilling everything you're feeling. But you send it to your mom by mistake. 1 second, it's done. You see she's online, she's read it. Now your head won't stop. Why did I do that? What if she's furious? What if this ruins everything? You're stuck, but not because of the message. You're stuck because of your mind. And that's the moment when you need to return to the present. Because obsessing over what just happened won't unsend the message. The only thing that can actually help you is focusing on what you can do now. How do you do that? Start with the mental anchor technique. Carry a small object with you, like a bracelet, a coin, or a stone in your pocket. Every time your mind starts drifting to the past or the future, touch that object. Let it be your physical reminder that you're here, now, and this is the only moment that matters. Second, try the 1-minute reset. Just 1 minute. Focus only on what's in front of you. Notice what you're doing. Listen to what's around you. Feel your breath. It's like pressing reset. It helps break the loop and bring you back to center. And finally, ask yourself, what can I do to fix this? Not to justify yourself, not to spiral into regret, but to act. If there's something you can do, do it. If not, move on. Don't let your mind drag you by the hand through every fear and regret it can invent, because only calm will take you where you really want to go. And calm lives right here, in the present. Now get ready, because what's coming next is probably not what you're expecting. It's not about advanced mental techniques or deep philosophy. It's something much simpler but powerful. Something you can do anytime with whatever's right in front of you. And yes, it might be exactly what you need when your mind feels like a mess. 11. Use your hands and clear your head. My friend, let me ask you a simple question. When was the last time you actually did something with your hands? And no, I'm not talking about typing on your phone or tapping on a keyboard. Of course not. I mean something real. Touching, shaping, building. When was the last time you cooked without rushing? Drew something without worrying if it looked good? Fixed something around the house with your own 2 hands? These days, we live in our heads. Constantly. Thoughts, notifications, more thoughts. And honestly, how wouldn't you feel overwhelmed if you never step out of there? But there's a way out. And it's not in books or social media. It's in your hands. As Epictetus would say, don't explain your philosophy. Live it. And living it often means doing, getting out of the loop of overthinking and into action. He himself believed that worry is defeated with movement, because if you stay stuck in your thoughts, all you're doing is digging a deeper hole. But when you do something physical, something real, you're sending a message to your mind. I'm the one in charge here. And it's not just Stoicism saying this. Psychologist Mihaly Csikszentmihalyi, yes, the one with the impossible name, discovered something fascinating in his research on flow state. That moment when time disappears, the mind quiets down, and all that exists is what you're doing. And do you know what kinds of activities usually lead to that deep, peaceful state? Simple things like painting, cooking, shaping clay, handwriting. Activities that pull you into the present because they demand attention and movement. That's why, during World War II, soldiers did it. Yes, really. In the middle of chaos, constant fear, and daily tension, many of them spent their downtime doing manual work, carving wood, fixing objects, even sewing by hand. It might have looked like nothing, almost childish, but it had a deep effect. It wasn't just a distraction. It was a way to find stability when everything around them felt unstable. And the result? Those who engaged in these activities showed far fewer symptoms of PTSD, less anxiety, more clarity, more control. While others were stuck in memories or quietly falling apart, they found peace in something as simple as creating with their hands. I mean it. When your mind is a mess, try the paper therapy. You don't need to be an artist. Draw, color, doodle anything while your favorite music plays, and you'll see without even noticing how you start stepping out of the mental fog. Or try something even simpler. Modeling clay. Yes, just like when you were a kid. Shape it, squeeze it, roll it into balls, whatever. Your hands take over, and your brain relaxes. Honestly, if the Stoics had had modeling clay, they might have been even wiser. Another idea. Get into the kitchen, but no phone, no recipe, just you, the ingredients, and your hands. Knead, chop, mix. Make it a ritual, a way to come back to yourself. Because when you're right there, elbow deep in flour or peeling carrots, you're not thinking about bills or drama. You're present. You're alive. And that brings calm. My friend, you can't let your mind drag you down dark roads without giving yourself the chance to stop. Because yes, only calm will take you where you want to go. And sometimes, that calm doesn't come from meditating or thinking harder. Sometimes it comes from moving your hands, doing something tangible, connecting to reality through your body. So here's your final challenge. Next time you feel like your mind is on the edge of collapse, use your hands. Create something. Draw, cook, fix, write by hand. Who knows? Maybe as you clear your mind, you'll discover a hidden talent. And if not, at the very least, you'll have reclaimed something so many people have forgotten. That to calm your mind, sometimes all you need is to touch life with your own hands. Training your mind to stay calm isn't something that happens overnight. It's a journey, a choice you make every time you decide not to react with anger, not to be dragged down by fear, not to get lost in inner chaos. Because every time you choose calm, you're choosing freedom. You're taking control of your life from the inside out. And that, my friend, is what makes the difference between living at the mercy of everything or living with real power. If you've made it this far, write it in the comments. I choose to live in calm. You already know life doesn't warn you before it hits. That's why I ask you to stay with me a little longer, because now it's time to get stronger. What comes next are the Stoic habits that keep you standing when everything is trying to knock you off balance. There's something inside you that's been screaming for help, but you've silenced it for so long, you don't even hear it anymore. You're constantly rushing, putting out fires, just trying to survive, while your mind quietly falls apart. And the worst part? You think that's normal, but it's not. Today, you're going to discover how to change that reality. Because yes, you can get your calm back. And the path begins by mastering the one thing that's always been under your control, your mind. Stress doesn't go away, it transforms. And the Stoics knew this better than anyone. They also lived surrounded by chaos, uncertainty, pressure, hard decisions. But they learned something that could change your life. Calm isn't found by running away, it's built from within. In this video, I'm going to share 10 Stoic habits that have lasted for centuries because they work. Habits you can start using today to take back control of your mind, quiet that storm of thoughts, and live with more presence, more strength, and more peace. Ready to stop surviving and start living. Before we dive in, let me tell you Lucia's story, because sometimes the best way to understand how to calm the mind is by seeing what happens when you ignore everything it's desperately trying to tell you. Lucia had a skill that seemed admirable. She could handle everything, always available, always on the run, always fixing things. To everyone else, she was strong, efficient, tireless. But no one knew that inside she was hanging by a thread. The first warning signs were subtle. Sleepless nights, constant exhaustion, unexplainable mood swings. Then came the memory lapses, the racing heart, that heavy feeling that the world was just too much. But she kept going, because she felt like she didn't have the right to stop. Until one day, her body forced her to. She was at the supermarket, rushing around as usual. She only needed a few things before heading back to work. But when she got to the cereal aisle, her mind went blank. She couldn't remember what she needed to buy or why she was even there. Her heart was pounding. Her legs wouldn't move. She started to sweat, to shake. She couldn't breathe. And the worst part wasn't the anxiety attack. The worst part was what she thought in that moment. I can't fall apart right now. I don't have time for this. That sentence hurt the most when she remembered it later, because that's when she realized how disconnected she had become. She'd silenced her mind for so long that when it finally screamed for real, she still didn't want to hear it. That night, for the first time in a long time, she let herself fall apart. She cried without holding back. She locked herself in the bathroom with the mirror fogged up and looked at herself as if she were seeing a stranger. And something inside her shifted. It wasn't a pretty change. It was like opening a box full of things she had spent years pushing to the back. The next day, a friend gave her a book she never would have picked up on her own. Meditations by Marcus Aurelius. At first she laughed. A Roman emperor is supposed to understand what I'm going through, she thought. But she read it, and among the highlighted pages she found a quote that hit her deeply. If you are distressed by anything external, the pain is not due to the thing itself, but to your estimate of it, and this you have the power to revoke at any moment. That's when she realized something no one had ever told her before. The problem wasn't just everything she had on her plate. It was the story she was telling herself about it. Lucia wasn't broken. She was just exhausted from pretending she didn't feel anything. And what she needed wasn't just therapy or motivational advice. She needed to reconnect with herself from the inside out. She started slowly. 1 habit a week, writing before bed, taking a breath before replying, turning off her phone at lunch, being grateful for the smallest things, saying no without justifying herself. And while her life didn't become perfect, her mind finally started finding moments of calm. What used to overwhelm her didn't have the same power anymore. What she used to avoid, she started facing. And for the first time in years, she could be alone, without feeling lost. Lucia is still strong, but not because she can take on everything. Now it's because she knows when to stop, when to let go, and when to truly listen to herself. Now tell me, how many times have you felt like her? How many times have you pushed through even when something inside you was crying out for help? If that voice is still alive in you, don't keep ignoring it. Listen to it, because maybe this is your first step toward getting your peace back. Now, your moment has come, because what you're about to hear could completely change the way you live, think, and take care of yourself. Let's get into the first habit that can bring back the calm your mind has been craving for so long. Before we continue, if this content is bringing you value, consider subscribing and becoming an exclusive member to access unique perks. And tell us in the comments, what part of yourself have you been neglecting? And is it finally time to listen to it again? Or just write, "I'm a Stoic. Starting today, I begin rebuilding myself from within, in silence, with intention." 1. The 90-10 rule. Picture this. You're late, really late. You didn't even have time to take a proper shower. Your stomach's half empty and you're scrambling to throw something together before heading out. You open the fridge, grab an egg, and without meaning to, it slips, smashes on the floor, makes a mess. You take a deep breath, grab some paper towels to clean it up, and while you're wiping it, you knock over your mug of tea, the one thing you'd made to have a moment of calm. It falls, shatters, and that's when you lose it. You yell, swear, slam your hand on the counter. And the worst part isn't the broken mug, it's how overwhelmed, ridiculous, and out of control you feel. You mutter to yourself, "Am I really losing it over this?" And yes, you're losing it. But not because of this. You're losing it because of everything you've been holding in, everything you haven't said, everything you've been carrying, everything you've ignored. This isn't a bad day. This is a system on the edge of collapse. Now imagine the same situation, but with Epictetus in your place, there in your kitchen, wearing a wrinkled tunic, half asleep, and staring at the egg on the floor. Do you think he'd explode? Throw the mug against the wall or pound the counter? Of course not. He'd stay silent, breathing, watching the chaos like someone watching a storm, knowing it'll pass too. Because he didn't react to what happened. He reacted to what he thought about what happened. And he explained it better than anyone. We are not disturbed by events, but by the views we take of them. The problem isn't that the egg dropped. The problem is what your mind starts telling you. This always happens to me. This is what I get for rushing. Everything goes wrong. That, my friend, is exactly where the famous 90-10 rule comes in. You may have heard of it. Only 10% of stress comes from what happens. 90% comes from how you react. It's a rule made popular by Stephen Covey, but isn't it exactly what Epictetus was saying too? I know. It's hard to accept. But it's also freeing. Because if you're the one creating it, then you can also shut it off. Stephen Bartlett, on his podcast, The Diary of a CEO, has talked about this many times with neuroscientists. When your brain gets triggered, the amygdala takes over. That emotional part doesn't wait for your permission. It just reacts. It's like having a screaming child inside your head. But you also have your rational brain, the part that thinks, evaluates, slows you down. It just shows up a little later. And for it to show up, you have to give it time. So here are 3 practical tools you can start using today. Because this habit isn't something you understand once. It's something you practice again and again until it becomes your new way of living. First, name what you feel. Instead of exploding, breathe and say quietly, "I'm frustrated. I'm anxious. I'm exhausted." Naming the emotion breaks the loop. It stops being something that controls you and becomes something you can observe. Second, take a 90-second pause before responding. Yep, 90 seconds. That's how long it takes your brain to regulate an intense emotion. Those seconds can stop you from saying something you'll regret, or from breaking a mug you actually liked. Third, ask yourself this honestly. Will this still matter to me tomorrow? And if the answer is no, then why give it your energy now? Not everything deserves a reaction. Not everything needs an immediate response. Sometimes letting go is the greatest form of control. When you stop reacting the way you always have and start responding the way you actually want to, everything shifts. It's not magic, it's practice. And every time you choose not to yell, not to rush, not to spiral into drama, you're training your peace. Because calm doesn't show up on its own. You build it, day by day, choice by choice. You can't control everything that happens to you, but you can take back your inner space. And right there, that's where real freedom begins. So tell me, are you going to keep letting that 10% run the show? Or are you ready to take back the other 90 and finally start building your calm? 2. Empty your head. You wake up exhausted, but not because you slept badly. It's your mind. You haven't even set foot on the floor yet, and there's already a storm inside your head that won't let you breathe. You're thinking about that email you didn't reply to, what you said and shouldn't have, what you didn't say and now regret. You remember what you have to do today, what you didn't do yesterday, that weird conversation from 3 days ago, and the thing your mom said that you still don't know how to take. You're jumping from one thought to another like you're surfing through your brain with 100 tabs open. One for worries, one for to-do lists, one for guilt, one for doubts, and none of them ever close. Everything is loading at once, Ray, and you, like an old computer, are about to crash. And yeah, I know what you're thinking. How many tabs do you have open in your brain right now? Because me, when I don't write down what I'm thinking, I've got more open than Chrome after a full afternoon of procrastinating. One tab for what I said in that meeting, another for the message I still haven't answered, another with a fake conversation I'll probably never have, and they're all there buzzing around like mosquitoes in a closed room. All that noise turns into anxiety, into exhaustion, into stress. The mind isn't designed to store everything. It's not a hard drive. It's not a storage room. It's a living space that needs order, air, and most of all, clearing out. But if you don't let go of what's bothering you, what's making you uneasy, what you don't even know how to name, it just stays there, spinning, draining you, emptying your head. So how do you do that? It's easier than it sounds, right? That's the habit. Think it's silly? Let me tell you why it's not. There's a psychologist named Emma McAdam, creator of the channel Therapy in a Nutshell, who explains it perfectly. Writing down your thoughts is like dragging your inner critic into the sunlight and letting it melt. Because when thoughts stay trapped in your head, they grow, they twist, they take over. But when you get them out, they lose power. And no, writing isn't cheesy, or boring, or just for people with too much free time. It's a powerful tool to free up mental space. Marcus Aurelius, Emperor of Rome, knew that. That's why he wrote every day. And he wrote for himself. Not to publish, not to leave a legacy, to understand himself, to calm down, to not get lost in the storm of the outside world. In meditations, you can read things like, when you wake up in the morning, tell yourself, today I will meet with the meddling, the ungrateful, the arrogant. And he wasn't being dramatic. He wrote it because putting words to what he expected to face helped him stay grounded. As if writing it down meant he'd already gone through the battle before it even began. Today, lots of people have discovered this habit too. Ali Abdaal, YouTuber and former doctor, talks about how journaling saved him from burnout. His method is simple: 3 lines each night. One problem, one possible solution, and one thing he learned. That's it. And it works. Because you don't need to write a 1,000-page diary. You just need to create a safe space where you can unload what's weighing you down. My friend, if you want to calm your mind, you need to let out what's eating at you before it gets stuck. So here's what I suggest. Try the brain to paper with no filter method. Grab a notebook, a scrap of paper, anything you've got, and write like you're the most dramatic character in a telenovela. Let it all out. I can't take it anymore. I'm up to my neck. I'm sick of it. No one's gonna read it. It's just for you, but you'll see. Once it's out, it starts to deflate. Write it all down, no filters, and relax. You don't need nice handwriting. It doesn't have to be pretty. You're not Neruda and you don't need to be. But you'll see how, little by little, it starts to free you. And if writing's not your thing, don't worry. There are other ways. Use voice notes. Seriously. Talk to yourself like you're telling your drama to a friend. Or if you're feeling bold, record yourself like you're making a video for your followers explaining how you feel. Don't post it, of course. But by expressing it, even if it's just for you, something starts to release. What matters most is turning this into your go-to habit. Don't just do it once and forget about it. A lot of the stress you carry doesn't come from what happens to you. It comes from everything you don't say, don't organize, don't understand. And this habit, even if it seems small, creates space. It lets you breathe. It lets you let go. Your mind isn't a storage room for unfinished tasks, trapped emotions, and thoughts you don't know where to put. It's not a junk closet filled with stuff you never use, that bike you haven't ridden in years, the painting you never hung, the box of memories you don't even want to open. It's a temple, and like every temple, it needs to be cleaned daily, even just a little. Not so it's perfect, but so you can walk into it and finally feel peace. 3. Stop running from fear. They say that deep in the forest lived a deer that didn't know how to rest. He slept with one eye open, walked with tense legs, always alert, always ready to run. A leaf hit the ground, crack. He ran. A branch swayed in the wind. Shh. He ran. A pine cone dropped and hit a tree trunk, a thud. He ran. He ran even when there was no danger, even when no one was there, even when he was completely alone. His heart was always racing, his body exhausted, but his mind, that was the real problem. It kept creating threats that didn't exist, imagining invisible enemies. He ran out of instinct, not necessity. Days went by like that. The deer no longer ate in peace or slept deeply. The slightest sound woke him up, and he ran, always ran, until one day the danger was real. A wolf appeared, not a thought, an actual threat. The deer tried to run like always, but his legs didn't respond. His mind, so tired from being on high alert, shut down. His body, worn out from fleeing nonstop, froze, and the fear he'd spent his whole life avoiding finally caught up to him. That deer is us. Every time we avoid a difficult conversation, a change that scares us, a decision that makes us uncomfortable, every time we put off what we know we need to face today, every time we hide from fear, thinking that's how we protect ourselves. But my friend, fear doesn't disappear when you ignore it. It grows. It gets heavier, louder. Seneca put it in the most brutal way. We suffer more in imagination than in reality. And he was right. You see it? The deer didn't suffer because of real danger. He suffered because of all the things he imagined could happen. And the same thing happens to you when you avoid, when you delay, when you pretend that not naming it means it doesn't exist. Can you picture Seneca in your place today? Do you think he'd cancel a meeting just because the idea of it makes him anxious? Of course not. He'd go, face the moment, and then probably write a letter laughing at how ridiculous his fear had been. Because facing fear doesn't make it disappear. It just stops it from controlling you. And the best part? This isn't just philosophy. Science backs it up too. Andrew Huberman, a neuroscientist at Stanford, has often talked about how voluntary exposure to small stressors, like cold showers, public speaking, or uncomfortable conversations, trains your brain not to panic. It teaches your mind that fear won't kill you, that you can go through it and still stand tall. And I'm telling you this from experience. I do this every day. Here's something personal. I'm afraid of lizards. Yep, those harmless little creatures most people barely notice. They freak me out. And since I live close to nature, there's always one wandering around the yard. At first, they stressed me out so much I didn't even want to step outside. I'd panic. I felt trapped. But little by little, I went out anyway. First for 5 minutes, then a bit longer. Sometimes I was tense, sometimes I ran back inside. But I didn't stop trying, and that tiny step, facing a lizard, as silly as it sounds, was the first of many, because it showed me that I could do it. That fear doesn't get to call the shots, that my mind can learn to stay calm even when something feels uncomfortable, and you can do the same. Picture this. You have to tell your partner you're going away for a work trip, right on their birthday. You've been putting it off. You're afraid they'll be upset or hurt. It's eating you alive. Each day it weighs heavier, until finally you say it, honestly. And not only do they understand, they offer to help you plan it. And there you are, after mentally torturing yourself for a whole week, over something that turned out to be nowhere near as bad as you thought. So, are you ready to stop running from fear? Try this. Use the daily mini-risk method. Make a list of things that scare you. Small things, everyday things, like calling someone you've been avoiding, saying no to something you don't want to do, posting that video you've had in your drafts for weeks. Pick just one each week, just one, do it, then cross it off. When you do, celebrate like you would with a brave little kid. Eat your favorite food, write it in big letters. Do something that tells your brain, you did it, and you're okay. Because it's not about becoming a hero. It's about teaching your mind that you're capable of way more than it thinks. You don't build courage by running. You build it in those moments when your voice shakes. But you speak. When you're afraid, but you don't back down. And let me leave you with this. Don't ever forget it. If you don't train your mind in times of peace, it'll break when the storm hits. But if you do, if you take those uncomfortable steps each day, there will come a time when fear stops screaming so loudly. And in that moment, my friend, you'll have taken a huge step toward real calm. Now tell us in the comments, what are you going to stop running from this week? And how do you think facing it could help you calm your mind and reduce stress? We're here to support you. Every step matters. Every small act of courage is a gift to your future self. 4. Breathe like a Stoic. You're at work. It's Monday, not even 10 a.m., and they've already dumped a mess on you that isn't yours. A problem you didn't create, that isn't your responsibility. But somehow, like magic, now it's on your plate. You're sitting there, staring at the screen, wearing that I want to disappear face, feeling it all start to rise through your body, the tension in your jaw, that heat building in your chest, your mind racing out of control, and without even realizing it, you're breathing like a lion is chasing you, short, fast, shallow. And even if you don't notice it, that changes everything. Your body goes into alarm mode. Your brain thinks you're in danger. It starts pumping out cortisol, adrenaline, and your thoughts go into overdrive trying to figure out how to survive. But you're not in a war zone. You're in an office with a broken coffee machine, an uncomfortable chair, and someone clicking a pen non-stop next to you. But here's the worst part. Your body doesn't know the difference, because when you breathe like you're in danger, your body believes it. And if your body believes it, stress takes control. This is where your breath becomes your greatest ally. The Stoics knew that whoever controls their breathing controls their impulses. And if you can control your impulses, you can make clear decisions, even in the middle of chaos. Marcus Aurelius did it. He carried an empire on his shoulders with enemies inside and outside of Rome, and decisions that shaped the lives of thousands. But he didn't let pressure sweep him away. His calm didn't come from the outside. It came from within. And before acting, he would breathe. He breathed so he wouldn't give in to rage, fear, or reactivity. He breathed to choose. But don't worry. You don't need to fly off to Tibet or sit through endless mindfulness sessions. You just need to learn to use your breath like a tool, a direct switch between what you feel and what you decide. Here's how you can do it. Every time you feel stress creeping up your chest, like when you see 3 missed calls from work on your day off, when your kid breaks something and all you wanted was 5 minutes of peace, when your partner says, "We need to talk," right before bed, try this. Inhale through your nose as you count to 3. Hold your breath as you count to 4. Exhale gently through your mouth as you count to 5. This is the 3-4-5 method from Dr. Rangan Chatterjee, author of The Stress Solution. And it's not just pretty breathing, it's pure physiology. You're activating the emergency brake in your nervous system. You're telling your body, we're not in danger. It's safe to calm down. Do it twice, 3 times, and you'll feel something loosen inside. That feeling of being about to explode, it starts to deflate, and suddenly, you're back to yourself. And if it's not enough, if you feel like you still need more, then move your body. No, you don't have to go for a run or do yoga in the middle of the supermarket. Just do something simple. While you inhale, wiggle your big toe. Sounds silly, but it works. You're shifting your attention to something physical, tangible, real. You're telling your mind to return to the present, and that's the key. Breathing like this won't solve your life, but it can keep you from wrecking it in a moment of impulse. Because, my friend, the second you control your breath, you take back control, not of everything, but of the one thing that matters most, your reaction. Your breath is the remote control for your mind. If you don't know how to use it, everything changes on its own, without your say. But if you do learn to use it, you can turn down the volume on the chaos and tune into calm. And in a world this noisy, that's worth gold. 5. Visualize the worst-case scenario and take away its power. Has it ever happened to you that you thought everything was going to go horribly wrong, and in the end, it wasn't that bad? And other times, something did go wrong, but you knew exactly what to do because you'd already imagined it 100 times before. It's interesting, isn't it? Sometimes imagining disaster doesn't make you weaker. It makes you stronger. Picture this. It's the night before a job interview. Your resume is ready, your clothes are ironed. You've memorized all the common questions, but you can't sleep. You toss and turn, heart pounding, your mind stuck on a loop. What if I stutter? What if they ask me something I don't know? What if they look at me funny? What if I blank out? What if they don't like me? What if they reject me? You start imagining the worst-case scenario, and it only stresses you more. But right there, without realizing, you're on the edge of doing something powerful. You're just doing it wrong. Because the point isn't to picture the worst and get stuck in fear. It's to imagine it, so it loses its power. You know what that's called? The pre-mortem technique. Companies like Google and Intel use it. Before launching a project, they ask, what if this totally fails? What could go wrong? And they don't do it to freeze up, but to act with more clarity, more focus, more calm. It's no coincidence these companies are so effective. They train their minds not to fall apart when things don't go as planned. And this isn't a modern invention. The Stoics practiced it every day. Marcus Aurelius summed it up in one simple, powerful line. Prepare yourself for whatever fortune may bring. It wasn't pessimism, it was strategy. It was looking adversity in the eye before it arrived. Not to invite it, but to take away the element of surprise. And you can do the same. Think about how many times you've avoided doing something just because you were afraid it would go wrong. Not because you failed before, but because you imagined it so many times your body reacted like it already happened. But what if you flipped that fear around? What if you turned it into a dress rehearsal with an open ending? That way, your mind doesn't freeze up. It drops the panic and starts to prepare. If you're curious and want to start building this habit, here are 3 simple steps you can try today. First, write out the worst possible scenario for a situation that's stressing you out. Don't hold back. Write it like it's already happening. For example, I show up to the interview, they ask me something I don't know, I panic, I stumble over my words, and it all feels like a disaster. Second, right after, write how you'd handle it if that really did happen. What would you do? Breathe? Ask for a second to think? Crack a light joke to ease the tension? The point is to show your mind that even in that scenario, you still have options. Third, do a mental rehearsal, with emotions included. Don't just picture what would happen. Feel how it would affect you. Imagine the pressure in your chest, the tightness in your throat, and then feel how you slowly calm down, refocus, and keep going. It's invisible training, but incredibly effective. And finally, when it still feels like too much, share that fear out loud with someone, but do it with humor. Say it like a joke. I picture myself falling off the chair mid-interview and getting fired before they even hire me. Saying it out loud with that ironic twist takes the sting out of it. It removes the drama, and you get your air back. My friend, when you visualize disaster, you're not being negative. You're strengthening your mind. You're preparing for chaos so it doesn't knock you down. Because real control doesn't come from making sure nothing ever goes wrong. It comes from knowing that if it does, you'll still be okay. Believe me, this is a powerful habit to calm your mind. It might feel uncomfortable at first, but it helps you shut down the mental noise that shows up when you need peace the most. It's a real, practical, and powerful way to soothe your mind and reduce stress. So, why not give it a try? 6. Do it with your full attention. Living on autopilot is like driving down a foggy road. You're moving, but you can't see a thing. You know you're going forward because the car is running, but if someone asks what you saw along the way, you wouldn't remember. That's how your mind is, always going somewhere but never really present, doing things without actually being in them. And the worst part? We've normalized it. We make coffee while answering texts, while listening to a podcast, while thinking about that awkward conversation from last Thursday. Your body's here, but your head took off a while ago. And of course, your mind notices. That's why you feel stressed all day long, your head buzzing with 1,000 thoughts every second. You're making lunch but thinking about the gift you still need to buy for your niece. You show up at the birthday party, but your brain's already worrying about dinner and packing a bag for tomorrow. Hey, slow down. Are you actually where you need to be? And yeah, I know, these sound like little things, but if we don't stop this pattern, it can turn into something bigger. Just recently, it happened to a friend of mine. She was at the park with her daughter answering work emails on her phone. She thought she had it all under control, that she could be in 2 places at once. Then she heard a loud thud. Her daughter had fallen off the swing. She was crying, totally shaken up. And my friend hadn't seen it. She didn't even know how it happened. Because her body was there, but her mind was miles away. And that hurts. Not just because of the scare. It hurts when, later, you realize you were there, but only physically. Your attention was so scattered that you weren't really present in the moment that needed you the most. The Stoics were absolute legends at this. Musonius Rufus, Epictetus' teacher, taught people to live with intention, even in the most ordinary tasks. He said, "There is no act too small if done with virtue. Washing dishes, walking down the street, talking to your child. Any of these can be a practice in presence. Or they can be mindless distractions that leave you with nothing. Did you know that doing something with full attention helps calm your mind?" Dr. Judd Brewer, psychiatrist and author of Unwinding Anxiety, has proven it. When you focus fully on just one task, your anxiety can drop by up to 40%. 40. Can you imagine cutting your stress almost in half? Just by being more present in what you're doing. It's not magic. It's neuroscience. That's why this habit can truly change your life, because when you do things with full attention, your mind aligns. It stops being split into pieces, and finally, it starts to calm down. So try this. Do one task like you're a Zen monk. Put on soft music and wash the dishes like your spiritual awakening depends on it. It sounds silly, but after 2 minutes, your mental state shifts. Or here's a challenge. For 30 minutes a day, don't allow yourself to multitask. Just one thing, anything, but do it with your full attention. Wash the car, reply to emails, or stare at the ceiling. The task doesn't matter. What matters is that your energy isn't scattered. You know what works for me? Turning off notifications during meals, conversations, and breaks. It seems like a small thing, but it completely changes the quality of those moments. When you eat without distractions, your body digests better. When you talk without glancing at your phone, you really connect. When you rest without external noise, your brain actually rests. My friend, your mind needs air. It needs focus. It needs to be in one place, not pulled in 20 different directions. Because if it's constantly stretched, it breaks. But when you start doing things with intention, with full attention, with presence, something clicks inside. And finally, you feel calm. Don't let life pass you by like a sped-up video. Don't look back someday like Bad Bunny says, thinking, "I should have taken more pictures." Because what he really meant was, I should have been more present. I should have felt more of what was right in front of me. I should have lived instead of jumping from one notification to the next. And you? How many meaningful moments are you missing because you're not fully there? Tell us below, where in your life are you going to start giving your full attention? Don't regret it later. Live it now. and you'll already be training your mind to find peace where you never thought to look. In the simple things, the small moments, the stuff that's right in front of you. 7. Change the story you tell yourself. They're looking at you weird. They're definitely talking about you. Why didn't they reply to that message? Something's wrong. It's about you. That look on their face, for sure they're disappointed. Sounds familiar, right? Funny thing is, no one actually said those things to you. They didn't come out of anyone else's mouth. They came from you, from your own head. You, the silent narrator that spends all day telling you stories and often goes way overboard. Because let's be honest, my friend, if someone else talked to you the way you talk to yourself sometimes, you would have blocked them a long time ago. And that's the problem. It's not what happens to you. It's the story you tell yourself about what happens to you, what you interpret, what you repeat, what you start believing is truth. That's why this habit can be your mental lifesaver, because when you change that narrative, everything changes with it. Epictetus said it loud and clear centuries ago. It's not things that disturb us, but our opinions about them. And yes, that came from a man who was a slave. He could have told himself a story like, "I'm a victim, I have no control, my life is punishment." But he didn't. He told himself another story, one of inner strength, of wisdom. And thank goodness, because if he hadn't, we wouldn't be learning from him today. I recently heard an incredible podcast called The Success Formula. They interviewed a woman named Nada, who was kidnapped and held in the jungle for months. And instead of breaking down, instead of repeating the story, "This destroyed me," you know what she said? "This didn't break me, it built me." And no, of course it's not easy, but it is possible. That's the key. We can't control everything that happens to us, but we can work on the story we tell ourselves afterward. And this isn't just for big life events. It shows up in everyday stuff too. You argue with your partner and your mind writes a whole telenovela script. They don't love me anymore. This is going to end. Everything's wrong. When in reality, it was just a rough day, or a bad night, or maybe just hunger. Dr. Daniel Amen, a neuroscientist, talks about ants, automatic negative thoughts. The acronym spells ANTS, and he says these thoughts are like tiny mental bugs crawling all over your brain. That's why he talks about killing the mental ants before they become a full-blown infestation. Because it only takes one distorted thought to fill your head with stories that aren't real, and that slowly eat away at your peace. So what can you do in those moments? Here are 3 things that actually work. First, invent a ridiculous reframe, something totally absurd. For example, they didn't reply because they're stuck in an elevator with no signal. Poor thing's probably waving a tinfoil antenna trying to get out. Sounds silly, but laughing at the story your mind's trying to sell you strips it of its power. Second, rewrite the thought like you're talking to your best friend. What would you say if they told you, "I'm a failure, everything I do is wrong"? You'd hug them, offer another perspective, do the same for yourself. You deserve that same compassion. Third, talk out loud to yourself using a different voice. Literally, change your tone, exaggerate, mimic yourself. "Hi, it's me again, spiraling because I didn't get a like." Say it in a parody voice. You'll see, when your brain hears itself from the outside, it chills out. Because this habit, as silly as it may seem, is a powerful tool to calm your mind. When you stop telling yourself catastrophic stories and start narrating with more truth, more balance, and even a little humor, the stress loses its grip. You stop living in a horror film written by your ego and start seeing your life with a lot more clarity. My friend, you already know it. The story you tell yourself isn't innocent. It can save you, or it can destroy you. So tell it wisely. 8. Your habits are in charge. You say you want peace, but you wake up to an alarm that sounds like a full-blown emergency. You grab your phone before you've even opened your eyes all the way. 40 notifications, bad news, work messages, and just like that, your very first thought of the day is stress. You say you want clarity, but you eat breakfast in a rush, answering emails with one hand and holding your coffee with the other. You jump from app to app, thought to thought, task to task. Your body may be sitting still, but your mind is running a marathon. Then at night, you're drained, anxious, out of energy, and you don't know why. But I'll tell you, my friend, your habits are dragging you, and if you don't choose them, they'll choose for you. Your habits are like invisible threads. One on its own doesn't seem strong, but when enough of them come together, they pull you, they push you, they take you down paths you didn't even realize you were on. And the weird thing is, they don't scream, they don't force themselves on you. They just repeat, day after day, until you become them. So it's time to change those habits. And don't worry, it's not as hard as it sounds. All you need are anchor habits, small routines that, without you even realizing it, calm your nervous system, give you stability, reconnect you with a sense of control, of direction. Marcus Aurelius knew this. That's why he wrote every morning. He prepared himself for what he was going to face. He connected with his purpose, with his center. There's a quote of his that sums it all up. Happiness depends on yourself. And you, my friend, how do you start your day? What ritual are you repeating that's already deciding how you're going to feel for the rest of it? Because you're not what you say you'll do. You're what you do every single day. That's why today I'm inviting you to do something different. Create your daily calm ritual. It doesn't have to be complicated. Maybe it's making your coffee in silence, taking a walk without looking at your phone, breathing deeply by the window, something that tells your brain, I'm the one in charge here. Also, change one micro habit per week, just one. Instead of checking your phone the moment you wake up, take 3 slow breaths and write down one phrase you want to live by that day. For example, today I choose not to rush, or my peace is not negotiable. And if you slip one day, it's okay. It's not about doing it perfectly, it's about choosing again. Because every day you repeat a habit, you're telling your mind how you want to live. Remember this, your habits either build you or wear you down. They either guide you toward calm or pull you into chaos. And if you're serious about calming your mind, this is the best place to start. Don't think of it as a goal. Think of it as a direction, because every small gesture done with intention becomes one more rope that holds you steady. 9. Remind yourself who you are every day. Picture this. A warrior wakes before the sun, opens his eyes, takes a deep breath, and before putting on his armor, he says a phrase. Not to hype himself up, but to remind himself why he fights, what he stands for, who he's vowed never to betray. Then, and only then, he dresses, grabs his sword, and steps out into the world. It's not a movie. It's exactly what you need to do each morning. Your armor isn't made of metal. It's your attitude, your word, your principles. And sure, maybe you're not walking into a literal battlefield, but tell me it doesn't feel like a war inside. Every time you doubt yourself, every time you forget why you do what you do, every time the noise around you makes you question everything. That's why this habit can change everything, reminding yourself who you are. Because in the middle of chaos, stress, and all the voices trying to define you, you need one voice that comes from within to bring you back to center. And no, I'm not talking about repeating empty phrases like, I'm a winner, or today is going to be amazing. I'm talking about connecting with what actually represents you, what you chose to believe in, what you're not willing to abandon, even when everything feels shaky. The Stoics knew this well. They were warriors of their time, and their shield wasn't metal, it was their mind. That's why every morning, they reminded themselves of who they were. Epictetus, Seneca, Marcus Aurelius, they didn't wait to feel good to act with virtue. They chose it ahead of time. They affirmed it with clarity. They wrote it down. They repeated it. Because they knew that if they didn't, the outside noise would end up running their day. So if they, who faced exile, war, betrayal, and illness, needed to affirm themselves daily, how could you not? There's someone else who really gets this. J. Alderton, a former British soldier. Every day, he repeats a phrase he created. Don't just focus on what you want, focus on who you're choosing to be today. He makes it part of his routine to anchor himself to his values. Because for him, real progress isn't about the results you get. It's about the person you choose to become each day, even when you're tired, doubtful, or under pressure. And this, my friend, matters more than you think. Because stress often doesn't just come from having too much to do. It comes from feeling disconnected from yourself. But if you take a moment to remind yourself who you are, everything shifts. So, how do you remind yourself each day who you are and live from that place? First, create a personal power phrase, but make it yours. No generic affirmations. Write it like you're speaking to your strongest self. For example, I stay calm, even when everything's burning. Or my peace is worth more than a pointless argument. Make it real. Make it you. Next, record yourself saying it. Yep, even if it makes you cringe. You need to speak to yourself with strength. Say what you need to hear. It doesn't have to sound perfect, just authentic. And listen to it in the morning, or whenever you feel yourself fading. Finally, do a quick identity check every day. Ask yourself one question. Does what I'm doing reflect the person I want to become? And if the answer is no, adjust. You don't need to change everything. Just one gesture, one word, one thought. Mental calm isn't built with silence alone, or by disconnecting from the world. It's built when you know exactly who you are, even when everything around you is loud. And if this helped you reconnect with yourself, just wait for what's coming next. Because the final habit won't just bring you clarity. It might be exactly what you need to close the loop, regain your balance, and finally calm your mind for real. 10. Value what you already have. You're sitting in front of your computer looking at the numbers for the month, and they don't add up. You feel frustrated, you push yourself harder, you tell yourself you're not progressing, that it's not enough. And all of that starts to build inside you like a storm. But stop for a second. Do you have a job? Do you have someone waiting for you at home? Or someone who sends you a message asking how you're doing? Do you have food in the fridge, electricity, hot water? Maybe now it all feels normal. But 5 years ago, wasn't that exactly what you dreamed of having? The problem is, your mind, without meaning to, always wants more. It races, it demands, it compares, but it rarely stops to look at everything it already has. My friend, you're forgetting the most powerful antidote to stress and mental chaos: gratitude. And no, I'm not talking about cheesy phrases or pretending everything is perfect. I'm talking about a real, powerful tool that literally changes how your brain works. I'm not making it up. Science backs it up. Dr. Laurie Santos, a professor at Yale University, has shown through her research that consciously practicing gratitude improves well-being, focus, and emotional health, even in people going through hard times. In her classes, she teaches students to write down things they're grateful for each day. And not only does it lift their mood, it actually shifts how they perceive the world. They become more resilient, more grounded, more present. But this isn't new. Seneca said it centuries ago. It is not the man who has too little, but the man who craves more, who is poor. And he didn't say it because he had everything. On the contrary, Seneca was exiled, lived with austerity, and gave up power more than once. And still, or maybe because of that, he found calm. Because he didn't cling to what he could lose. Because each day, he chose to value what he had, no matter how simple. If he lived today, he wouldn't need even half the things we think we need to be okay. So if you're waiting to have more in order to feel at peace, you're missing the chance to feel peace right now. Take a pause. Look around. You're watching this video. Do you have a coffee next to you? Does your home smell clean? Do you have a few minutes just for yourself? Do you feel like, finally, you're learning how to care for yourself on the inside? Tell me in the comments. Share just one thing you're grateful for today. It doesn't have to be huge, because you've got to learn to value the small things too. And if you don't know where to start, try this. Each morning, do an invisible gratitude. That means being thankful for something you can't see, but that carries you through the day. For example, I didn't wake up in pain today. Or, my kid made me laugh last night at dinner. At first, it might seem minor, but over time, your mind will learn to focus on what you do have, instead of what's missing. Another trick that works: change "I have to" into "I get to." Don't say "I have to work," say "I get to work." Not "I have to work out," but "I get to move my body." Because not everyone can, and you can. And one last piece of advice: each day pick one ordinary moment, something you usually take for granted, and celebrate it. Maybe it's that quiet cup of coffee, that walk home, or that time in the hot shower. Don't rush it. Enjoy it. Give it the value it deserves. Because those little things, when seen through fresh eyes, are what bring you back to calm. Valuing what you already have doesn't mean giving up on your goals. It means your peace doesn't depend on reaching them. And that, my friend, is the mental freedom you've been looking for. Because what if, just maybe, you already have everything you need to feel at peace today, and you just haven't noticed? Mental calm isn't something you stumble upon by chance. It's something you build, with habits, with daily choices, with small acts of self-care that might seem insignificant, but over time, change everything. You don't need a perfect life to feel at peace. You just need to start reclaiming your mind, one thought at a time, one habit at a time. Because the more order you create within yourself, the less the outside noise can shake you. And if you've made it this far, tell us in the comments. I choose to build my calm day by day. Now you know that when you stop breaking yourself from the inside, something shifts. You stop forcing. You stop pushing all the time. And from there, a different way forward appears, quieter, steadier. What comes next isn't about doing more, but about learning how to let go without losing direction. Stay with me and you'll see how. Let me guess. Lately, it feels like stress is winning the battle, doesn't it? You're trying to control everything, every detail, every outcome. But the harder you push, the more it seems like everything falls apart. Am I right? Now let me ask you something. What if, instead of holding on tighter, you learn to let go? Because, my friend, that's where the real power lies. In this video, I'm going to share something that could change everything. How to manifest what you truly desire without burning yourself out in the process. Yes, it's possible. And no, I'm not talking about magic tricks or sitting around waiting for things to happen. Today, you're going to discover powerful principles inspired by Stoic philosophy that will teach you how to let go of stress, take back control of your life, and most importantly, attract what you've always dreamed of. I promise you, it's not what you're expecting, but that's exactly why it works. Are you ready to unlock the power that's already within you? Before we go any further, I want you to step into someone else's shoes for a moment. Let me tell you a story that might sound familiar. Javier was a top executive, one of those people who seemed to have everything under control, a packed schedule, big decisions to make every day, and constant pressure to never fail. But at what cost? One day, in the middle of an important presentation to his team, something happened that he never saw coming. His body said, "Enough." Out of nowhere, he couldn't move or speak. A panic attack left him completely frozen. Javier, the man who always had an answer for everything, felt vulnerable for the first time in years. In that moment, something inside him screamed, "What am I doing with my life?" On a friend's advice, he did something he'd never imagined. He disconnected. He went to a cabin in the mountains, no emails, no phone calls, just him and silence. At first, his mind wouldn't stop racing. What's happening at the office? What will people say? But slowly something began to shift. As he walked the trails and listened to the wind through the trees, he remembered a phrase from Marcus Aurelius: "Accept everything that happens, even if it's different from what you expected." And then, as if a fog had lifted, he understood. Javier realized he didn't have to control everything for things to work out. When he returned to the city, he stopped cramming every gap in his schedule with meetings. So, what did he do with his free time? He made space for things that mattered. Time to reflect, to take care of himself, and to enjoy his family. And here's the most surprising part. When he let go of the need to control everything, things didn't fall apart. In fact, they got better. The atmosphere at work improved, results skyrocketed, and for the first time in a long while, he felt at peace with himself. Now let me ask you, how many times have you felt like Javier, carrying a weight that seems impossible to let go of? Maybe today is the day to say, enough, and discover what happens when you let calm work its magic. Are you ready to give it a try? Let's get started. 1. Let go and relax. Imagine you're at the beach. You grab a handful of sand and squeeze it tightly. At first it feels like you're in control, but the harder you squeeze, the faster it slips through your fingers. Sound familiar? Doesn't it remind you of life when you try to control everything? Trust me, the more you fight to dominate every detail, the faster it all seems to fall apart. And there you are, stuck in a cycle that leaves you exhausted, frustrated, and further away from what you really want. Does that ring a bell? Let's be real, clinging to constant control isn't getting you anywhere. It's like trying to drive a car with the handbrake on. What happens? You don't move an inch. All you do is burn out and stay stuck. But what happens when you release that brake? That's right, you move forward, with less effort and more ease. And that's exactly what you need to do in life. Let go. Now, don't get me wrong. Letting go doesn't mean giving up. It means trusting the process. And when you do, when you stop holding on so tightly, something amazing happens. Things start to fall into place on their own. Picture this. You're on a family trip. You've planned every detail to perfection. The exact departure time, where to eat, even games to keep the kids entertained. But of course, nothing goes as planned. There's terrible traffic, it starts pouring rain, and your kids decide it's the perfect moment to throw a tantrum. What do? Do you lose it because the universe isn't following your plan? Or do you accept that some things are beyond your control? Because, my friend, that's life. You can't control traffic, the rain, or tantrums, but you can choose how you react. And this is where Stoicism works its magic. Marcus Aurelius, in his Meditations, left us a timeless lesson. Accept the things to which fate binds you, and love the people with whom fate brings you together, but do so with all your heart. It's like he's telling you, stop wasting energy flooring the gas pedal while the handbrake is still on. Release it, and you'll move forward with less resistance. Because at the end of the day, what matters more? That everything goes perfectly, or that you actually enjoy the journey? I get it. This idea of letting go sounds easier said than done. But don't worry, I'm here to help. Let me share 3 simple steps you can start practicing today. Not only will they help you let go, but they'll also prepare you to relax and attract the things you truly desire. First, write your worries down on a piece of paper. Don't overthink it. Just write something like, "Look, I'm trying to control this, but I realize I can't." Then crumple that paper up and throw it away, literally. Why? Because it's like telling your mind, this doesn't weigh on me anymore. Second, use the red light pause. Whenever something doesn't go as planned, take a few seconds to breathe. Inhale to a count of 4, hold it, and exhale to a count of 6. This is your daily reminder that sometimes taking a pause is the only way to move forward. Third, make space in your schedule for nothing. Yes, nothing, even if it's just 15 minutes. What can you do? Listen to music, gaze at the sky, or simply enjoy the silence. It's in those moments that your clearest ideas and deepest desires have room to surface. When you stop trying to control every moment, you begin to think clearly and manifest everything you desire. And here's the surprising part. When you learn to let go, life doesn't fall apart like you feared. On the contrary, it starts to take shape. This isn't magic, it's clarity. When you stop wasting energy on things you can't change, you free up mental and emotional space for what truly matters. Now think about it. What if today you chose to let go just a little? Not everything, just one small step. Stop clinging to the sand, relax, and let life flow. Trust me, change begins the moment you decide to let go. 2. Start your day strong. Have you ever wondered why some days flow effortlessly, as if everything is working in your favor? while others feel like an impossible uphill climb. It's not magic or luck. Do you know what it comes down to? How you spend the first few hours of your morning. This is when you set the tone for your day, like tuning an instrument before a concert. Imagine stepping onto the stage without adjusting the strings. It would be a disaster. But if you take a moment to tune them, everything flows in harmony, right? Every note resonates, every chord fits perfectly. That's the key. What you do when you wake up not only shapes how you feel, but also how everything else will resonate throughout your day. Doesn't that sound like something worth trying? Let me share a personal experience to show you what I mean. One morning, instead of jumping out of bed and straight onto my phone like I usually did, I decided to switch things up. I sat quietly for a few minutes, took a deep breath, and thought about how I wanted my day to go. Then, instead of letting notifications dictate my mood, I put on my favorite song, one of those tracks that gets you moving no matter what. As I made coffee, I ended up dancing in the kitchen. I won't lie, it felt a little silly at first. But do you know what happened next? That day went better than I could have hoped. Even the little frustrations that usually irritate me felt insignificant. It was as if that initial burst of energy set the tone for everything. Do you know who also understood the power of mornings? Seneca. He said that every new day is a gift, a blank check we should make the most of. He started his mornings reflecting, writing, and aligning his mind with what truly mattered. For him, it wasn't about reacting to the world, but preparing to face it. And you can do the same. Take those early hours and turn them into a space to focus your energy. So, how can you start your mornings differently? Let me give you a suggestion. Before you even touch your phone, sit down for a moment and take a few deep breaths. Inhale to a count of 4, hold for a couple of seconds, and then exhale slowly to a count of 6. Do this 3 times. You'll be amazed at the difference it makes. It's like giving your body a moment to start with calm and intention. Next, find something that makes your morning special. For me, it's music. Why not give it a try? Put on a song that inspires you, one that makes you want to move. And yes, even if it sounds a little crazy, dance for a few minutes. It doesn't matter if you're alone in the kitchen or getting ready in front of the mirror. You might even laugh at yourself, and that's the point. No one has to see you, but trust me, that burst of energy can transform your entire mood. Here's another idea. Before leaving the house, take a moment to think about one thing you want to achieve that day. It doesn't have to be anything big. Maybe it's as simple as enjoying your lunch without rushing or getting through the supermarket line quickly. These small intentions not only bring clarity, but also become the first steps toward attracting what you truly desire. So, tell me, how do you want your mornings to be from now on? Do you want to start in chaos, letting the day drag you along? Or do you want to take control, create your moment, and set the tone for a day that flows in the direction you want? My friend, you don't need a perfect routine or to wake up at the crack of dawn. You just need to start strong, with calm and intention. Remember, every morning is a new opportunity, and how you choose to live it can be the beginning of everything you've ever wanted. Before we continue, if you're finding value in this content, consider subscribing and becoming an exclusive member to access unique benefits. And tell us in the comments, what steps are you willing to take to relax and manifest what you truly desire in your life? We want to grow together with you. 3. Your mind, your best ally. Think of your mind as a puzzle. When all the pieces are scattered and out of place, it's impossible to see the full picture. Everything feels chaotic. But what happens when you take a moment to sort them? You group them by colors, by shapes, and suddenly something magical happens. The picture starts to come together. My friend, that's exactly how your mind works. If it's cluttered with disorganized thoughts, worries, and stress, what can you see clearly? Nothing. But when you give it calm and space, what a relief. That's when everything starts to fall into place. A few years ago, a pilot named Chesley Sullenberger, better known as Sully, faced one of those moments most people would call a nightmare. Picture this. You're in command of a commercial airplane with over 150 people on board. Everything's going smoothly until the unthinkable happens. Both engines fail after striking a flock of birds. The plane loses power, and all you see ahead is a crowded city and an icy river. What would most of us have done? Panic, without a doubt. But Sully did something different. He closed his eyes for a split second and took a deep breath. In his mind, there was no room for chaos. He visualized what he needed to do: land the plane on the Hudson River without causing a disaster. Was he certain it would work? Not at all, but he trusted his experience, his team, and most importantly, his ability to stay calm. He manifested it. And do you want to know what happened? While alarms blared and passengers held their breath, Sully spoke in a firm, clear voice. Brace for impact. It wasn't just a technical message. It was a declaration of confidence. He was manifesting what everyone needed at that moment: hope that things would turn out okay. Thanks to his calm, focused mind, he achieved something extraordinary. He landed the plane on the river and saved everyone on board. Epictetus was right when he said, "What disturbs us is not what happens, but our thoughts about it." Sully couldn't control the engines or undo what happened with the birds, but he controlled his mind. He turned a chaotic situation into an opportunity to act with clarity and save lives. And that's what we can learn from his story. When you choose to calm your mind, you stop seeing problems and start seeing solutions. So, how can you train your mind to be your best ally? You need to learn to organize the pieces of your mental puzzle. Spend 5 minutes a day thinking about all the worries cluttering your mind, like scattered puzzle pieces. But here's the trick. Don't try to solve everything at once. How can you do this without overwhelming yourself? Imagine you're stressed about 3 things at the same time: a tight work deadline, a recent argument with a friend that's still bothering you, and concerns about making ends meet this month. Now, think of these worries as puzzle pieces. Take those 5 minutes to sort them. For example, put the work project in one corner, something you can start working on right away, marked in yellow. The argument with your friend? That goes in another corner, maybe in orange. You know it's something you can resolve later with a call or a message. And your finances? Put that in red and set it aside in a pouch of future pieces to deal with when you sit down to review your budget. Suddenly, by separating the pieces and giving them a place, you begin to see things clearly. Not everything is jumbled together, and not everything is fighting for your attention all at once. You might not solve the whole puzzle right then, but something better happens. You no longer feel that overwhelming chaos. Just by doing this, your mind starts to feel lighter, like you're making progress on something that once seemed impossible to handle. Worth trying, isn't it? Remember, when your mind is calm, not only do you feel better, but you also open yourself up to possibilities that once seemed unreachable. Because a clear mind has the power to manifest what you truly desire. Maybe it's time to stop trying to control everything and start trusting more in the strength you already have within you. 4. Do things with calm. Have you noticed? Rushing is like a hot pan with no oil. It just burns everything faster. And the worst part? Nothing turns out the way you wanted. Let me tell you the truth. Calmness isn't slowness. It's strategy. It's doing things at the pace they need to flow smoothly and come out right. Picture this. You're cooking for a special dinner. You've invited friends and everything is planned. But you get home late and start chopping ingredients in a rush. The vegetables are uneven, sauce spills everywhere, and on top of that, the pasta overcooks because you're distracted by the oven. When you serve the dish, it's nothing like what you envisioned. Sound familiar? Now think of the opposite. You give yourself time. You chop the ingredients carefully, enjoying the process. You taste the sauce as it cooks, adjusting the flavors. The pasta turns out perfectly al dente. And the result? Not only is it a delicious dish, but you also enjoyed the experience. Do you think that's just a coincidence? It's not. Rushing doesn't just ruin recipes, it ruins opportunities. And often we rush because we see others getting everything done, as if life were a race. But listen to me, my friend. Everyone has their own rhythm. Comparing yours to someone else's is like trying to make a plant grow faster just by staring at it. Marcus Aurelius understood this well. He said, The mind is like water. When it's calm, it reflects the world clearly. As an emperor, he had enormous responsibilities on his shoulders, but he didn't tackle everything at once. He reflected, prioritized, and acted with calm. Even in the middle of crises, he kept his mind steady to make wise decisions. It wasn't about doing things faster, but doing them better. I know slowing down isn't easy when everything seems to be moving at lightning speed. But what if I told you that those small moments of calm are what open the door for things to start falling into place? Before starting any task, stop for 2 minutes. Just 2. Take a deep breath and ask yourself, what's the most important thing I can do right now? Mentally organize your steps, as if you're tidying up your mind's desk. This simple ritual won't just give you clarity, it'll help you act from a more relaxed state. And when you're relaxed, things flow better. It's like everything starts aligning with you. And stop wasting time on multitasking. I know it seems like juggling several things at once is the key to success. But here's the truth no one tells you. You won't do any of those tasks well. So what should you do? Pick one task, just one, and give it your full attention. It's like planting a seed. If you give it the care and time it needs, it will grow strong. And once you finish that task, move on to the next. You won't just get more done, you'll do it better. With calmness, you create the space for what you truly desire to manifest more clearly. As the writer and philosopher Ralph Waldo Emerson said, "Adopt the pace of nature. Her secret is patience." And he couldn't be more right. Calmness doesn't just improve results, it lets you enjoy the process. Imagine how your life would change if, instead of racing against the clock, you chose to move forward calmly, savoring each step. No matter how much you have to do, if you take the time to do it well, everything starts to flow. And the best part? You'll feel more in control, more at peace. Because when you do things calmly, you create space for what you truly desire to start taking shape. 5. Be grateful for what you have. Picture this. Someone hands you a box and tells you that inside is everything you're missing in life. Everything that would change your world if you had it. Excited, you open it, expecting to find something extraordinary. But all you see is a mirror. At first, you're confused. What does this mean? And then it hits you. You don't need more, you just need to see what you already have through new eyes. So often we're so focused on what's next, what we're chasing, that we forget to appreciate where we are now. But here's the secret. When you start being grateful for what you already have, something shifts. Life feels lighter, stress fades, and almost like magic, you begin to attract more good things. And speaking of seeing what we already have differently, let me tell you a story that perfectly illustrates this. It's about a farmer who, like many of us, couldn't stop thinking about all he was missing until he learned an unexpected lesson. Every day he complained about how small and uncomfortable his house was. "There's no space, I can't rest. Why does this have to be my life?" He was convinced his life would be better if only he had a bigger, nicer house. One day, desperate, he went to the village wise man for advice. The wise man listened and then said, "Do this. Bring your chickens inside the house." The farmer was surprised but obeyed. The next day he returned complaining, "This is worse, I can't move with all these chickens." The wise man smiled and said, "Now bring the pig inside." Again the farmer did as he was told, but by the third day he came back furious. "This is a disaster, I can't take it anymore." The wise man then told him, "Now take the chickens and the pig out." When the farmer returned home, he realized something incredible. Suddenly, his small house felt spacious and peaceful. The size of the house hadn't changed, but his perspective had. For the first time, he appreciated what he had. Do you see? Gratitude doesn't change your circumstances. Everything might stay the same. But do you know what it does change? The way you see them. And when you shift your perspective, you start noticing opportunities that were hidden before. The magic of gratitude isn't just that it transforms your mood. It's like it activates a spell in your life. According to psychologist Robert Emmons, being grateful for what you have works like a magic wand, helping you see opportunities where before you only saw problems. This magic aligns you with what truly matters to you. And the best part? You don't need any special tricks to do it. Gratitude is the wand you've always had in your hands. Of course, this idea isn't new. Seneca once said, "Nothing is more honorable than a grateful heart." For the Stoics, gratitude was a daily practice. They gave thanks for the small things, like the bread they ate, the sunrise, or a meaningful conversation, because when you train yourself to see the good, you stop wasting energy on what's missing. And by doing so, you open the door to manifesting even more good things in your life. So, how can you practice gratitude? Don't worry, this isn't the usual write down 3 things every day advice. Let's try something different. Set aside a moment once a week to reflect. Find a quiet spot, grab a piece of paper, and write down 3 things you're truly grateful for. But here's the trick. Don't stop at writing them down. Ask yourself, how have these things contributed to what I want to achieve? For example, maybe a friend's support has kept you strong, or a recent challenge has shown you what really matters. Reflecting on this doesn't just help you relax, it starts aligning your mind with your goals. The more you focus on the good you already have, the easier it becomes to attract what you want. It's as if every small thing you're grateful for builds the path toward your goals, step by step, without you even realizing it. My friend, let me ask you, what are you grateful for today? Share it with us in the comments. This simple act could be your first step toward manifesting what you desire. Because when you're grateful, you're telling the universe, I'm ready to receive more. 6. Disconnect from the noise. Have you ever tried listening to your favorite song in the middle of a street full of honking cars, sirens, and shouting? No matter how hard you try, the noise drowns it out, right? That's exactly how we live today. Every notification, every random conversation, every news alert bombards you like that background noise, making it impossible to focus on what really matters. Now, let me ask you something. How do you expect to discover what you truly want if your mind is trapped in constant chaos? If you don't silence that noise, if you don't create space, you'll never hear the music inside you. Look around you. How much time do you spend watching what others are doing? Scrolling through social media? Reading headlines that seem urgent, but let's be honest, you'll forget by tomorrow? All that noise doesn't just steal your time. It fills your mind with things that don't bring you closer to what you truly desire. Think about it. Every notification, every comparison is like adding another layer of dust to a window. How can you see clearly when everything is smudged? But if you stop, if you disconnect for a moment, it's like wiping that window clean. Suddenly you can see what's on the other side. You can see what truly matters. Your ideas, your dreams, the opportunities that have always been there but went unnoticed. Epictetus said it centuries ago. The free man is the one who is not afraid to go to the end of his thoughts. And what do you need to get there? You need to turn off the external noise. You can't reflect on your deepest desires when your mind is trapped in a constant barrage of distractions. Silence is the place where your thoughts have the freedom to grow, transform into actions, and eventually into results. Let me ask you, my friend, how many times have you felt like your mind is so full that you can't even think straight? Be honest, you're tired of it, aren't you? All that noise doesn't just exhaust you, it pulls you further away from what really matters. So are you ready to do something that few dare to try? Let's turn off that external noise, but before we go further, I'll admit it won't be easy. But trust me, it'll be worth it. So, here's what I suggest. Try a no notification day. Don't worry, I'm not asking you to turn off your phone all day. What do I mean? Simply set specific times to check messages. For example, only check notifications at 9 in the morning and 6 in the evening. The rest of the time, ignore them. Believe me, I tried it myself, and I noticed the difference immediately. Suddenly, I had time to focus on my projects, stick to my rituals, and, most importantly, be present. Another idea: spend time in nature. It doesn't have to be an epic hike. It could be a nearby park or your own backyard. Take 10 minutes to listen to the sounds around you, the wind, the birds, even the crunch of leaves underfoot. But no cheating. Leave your headphones at home. It's just you, your mind, and nature. You'll notice something amazing. It's as if nature reminds you of a slower, more authentic rhythm that's always been there for you. When you turn off the noise, it's like being a firefighter facing a blaze. First, you need to put out the flames of chaos and distraction. Only then can you see clearly what lies beneath. And in that moment, when everything is calm, your mind becomes fertile ground where ideas and desires can bloom. It's in this space of stillness that you can truly focus on what you want and start manifesting it, step by step, without the flames of noise pulling you off course. 7. Get a good night's rest. Have you ever tried using your phone when it's down to 10% battery? Everything slows down, apps stop responding, and if you don't charge it soon, it shuts off completely. Now think about this. How often do you live your life with your body and mind running at 10%? Imagine, what would your days look like if you started every morning with your battery at 100%? My friend, you might be thinking, I don't have time to rest, or I need to use this time to get things done. But what if I told you that mindset is doing more harm than good and pulling you further away from the life you want to create? Here's the truth no one tells you. Rest isn't wasting time. It's the best investment you can make in yourself. It's the time when your mind and body prepare to shine the next day. And believe it or not, rest isn't just collapsing into bed after an exhausting day. It's about creating a space where your body and mind can truly regenerate and recharge. Think of it like maintaining your car. If you don't change the oil, tune the engine, or check the brakes, it might keep running for a while, but eventually, it'll break down. Your body and mind are the same. Like a car, they need a nightly checkup. When you rest well, you don't just feel better. You think better, make better decisions, and put yourself in a much clearer position to manifest what you truly desire. And no, this isn't just a metaphor. Science backs it up. At night, while you sleep, your brain goes into deep cleaning mode. Did you know that while you rest, a tiny cleaning crew works overtime in your head? It's true. A study from the Center for Neuroscience at the University of Rochester found that during sleep, your brain removes toxins built up during the day. It's like sweeping away worries and stress, leaving everything ready for a fresh start. When you sleep well, you wake up as if you've hit the reset button, clear-headed, focused, and ready to tackle what truly matters. Marcus Aurelius, as a great emperor, understood this perfectly. He said, "Even the soul needs rest to be effective." Despite the immense responsibilities on his shoulders, he knew he couldn't give his best without time to recover. For him, rest wasn't a luxury, it was a strategy. He reflected at the end of each day, disconnecting from the worries of leadership. If an emperor could find time to rest, why can't you? I get it. You're probably thinking, resting well sounds great, but with work, worries, and family, how am I supposed to make it happen? Don't worry, I've got a simple nighttime ritual you can start today to make rest a reality. First, turn off all screens at least 30 minutes before bed. Yes, even your phone. Instead, pick up a book, something relaxing that won't overstimulate you, like a light novel or something inspiring. Second, write your intentions for the next day in a notebook. For example, tomorrow I'll dedicate an hour to that project I'm excited about, or I'll truly listen in every conversation. This not only relaxes you, but also aligns your mind with what you want to achieve. Finally, spend 5 minutes breathing deeply as you settle into bed. Nothing complicated, just inhale and exhale slowly. So the next time you think of sleep as just a basic necessity, remember this: even the brightest stars need the darkness to shine, and you are no exception. 8. Embrace your failures. My friend, let me tell you something you might not want to hear. Failure is inevitable. Think of your failures as the first strokes on a blank canvas. At first, they might look like meaningless smudges, but with every additional stroke, the picture starts to take shape. And here's the good news. It's not the end of the world, it's just the beginning of something better. Did you know that many of the greatest inventions in history began as mistakes? Let me share a story about one you probably use almost every day. In the 1970s, A scientist named Spencer Silver was working on creating a super strong adhesive for his company, 3M. But instead, he ended up with the exact opposite. A weak adhesive that barely stuck to surfaces. What seemed like a failure was shelved for years. Then, one of his colleagues, Art Fry, had a brilliant idea. He used that weak adhesive to create notes that could stick and peel off easily without leaving marks. The result? The Post-it. Yes, you heard that right. The Post-it. What seems indispensable today for organizing our lives was actually the result of a failure. Isn't that incredible? Do you see where I'm going with this? It's not about avoiding failure, it's about how you face it. As Epictetus said, it's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. Your mistakes don't define who you are, but they can shape where you're going. If you use them as tools, every stumble can become a step towards something far greater. Listen, failures might feel like enormous walls, but they're actually doors waiting to be opened. So, how do you open them? The first and most important thing is to ease up on yourself. Sometimes we demand perfection, and that leads to a distorted view of our own mistakes. Think about it. How many opportunities have you avoided because you were afraid to fail? When you allow yourself to fail, you also allow yourself to learn. It's like a rehearsal. It doesn't have to be perfect the first time, because every attempt brings you closer to the result you're seeking. Second, use what you learn from your mistakes as a staircase. Every failure is a step that takes you higher, but only if you choose to climb it. Did you mess something up? Great. Ask yourself, what can I take from this? What will I do differently next time? Every lesson makes you stronger, wiser, and better prepared for what's ahead. It's a process, and every step counts. Finally, focus on the present. Too often we get stuck in our past mistakes, as if they're chains we can't break free from. But here's the thing. What you did before doesn't define what you'll do now. You have new tools, new knowledge, and a new opportunity in front of you. Ask yourself, what can I do today to prove to myself that I've grown? With every new attempt, you're building something better. Do you see how everything starts to come together when you change how you view your failures? It's not about erasing them. It's about using them to your advantage. When you do this, you'll notice something interesting. You relax. You no longer feel that constant pressure to be perfect, and in that state of calm, things start to flow naturally. It's as if the path that once seemed full of obstacles begins to clear. And the more relaxed you are, the easier it becomes to attract what you truly desire. Because failures aren't the end. They're the spark that ignites something new. So what masterpiece could you create if you stopped fearing those first strokes? Embrace your failures, because each one is a step toward the complete picture of the life you truly want to create. 9. Imagine it and make it real. Close your eyes for a moment. Picture yourself in a movie theater. The lights dim, the projector hums to life, and something unexpected appears on the screen. It's you. You're the main character in the film. But this isn't just any movie. It's the story of your life exactly as you've always dreamed it. Everything is there. Your goals achieved, the people who inspire you, the moments that make your heart race. You can see every detail clearly, as if it's already happening. Now, my friend, here's the big question. What would this movie look like if you were the director? Believe me, visualization isn't just a nice exercise. It's a powerful tool. It's like writing the script for that movie before the cameras even start rolling. When you take the time to vividly imagine what you want, you're not just dreaming, you're training your mind to make it real. Because everything you build outwardly begins within. Think about it. If you don't have a clear idea of what you want, how can you expect to get there? As Seneca said, no wind is favorable for the sailor who doesn't know where he's going. In other words, you need a direction, a clear vision to guide you. But here's the key. It's not enough to just imagine it. You have to feel it as if it's already happening. That's the magic of this exercise. It helps you relax, align with your desires, and start moving toward them with confidence. Did you know that your brain doesn't distinguish between what you vividly imagine and what actually happens? That's what psychologist and author Joe Dispenza explains. When you visualize something in detail, your mind interprets it as if it's real. It's like creating an invisible blueprint for what you want to build. And this changes everything. It changes how you move through the world. Your energy, your decisions, and even the opportunities that come your way begin to align with that vision. It's like tuning an instrument. Suddenly, everything starts to sound the way it should. I'm sure this idea has you intrigued and ready to try it out. So how can you make it part of your life? First, spend 5 minutes a day closing your eyes and visualizing your goal in detail. Don't just picture what you want, live it mentally. For example, if your goal is to write a book, imagine yourself at your desk typing the final page, seeing your name on the cover and holding the book in your hands. How does it feel? What emotions run through you? When you bring your dreams to life in your mind, your brain starts acting as if they're already happening. Next, write your goals as if you've already achieved them. This isn't just a list, it's a declaration. For example, instead of writing, "I want to have my own business," write, "I have a successful business where I do what I love." Fill it with details. What's your daily routine like? What impact are you making? And here's one more tip. Make this process relaxing. Don't treat it as just another task on your to-do list. See it as a moment to enjoy. Play some soft music, sit in a quiet place, and let yourself dream. Because, my friend, dreaming isn't wasting time. It's giving your mind the direction it needs to start building what you desire. Everything begins in your mind. When you imagine with clarity, you take the first step toward making it a reality. It's not just about dreaming. It's about using those dreams as a compass to guide your actions. So, what are you waiting for? Start visualizing, start believing, and start shaping the life you've always wanted. And let me tell you something, your best is yet to come. This final point isn't just a powerful way to tie it all together. It might just be the push you need to connect everything we've talked about and transform your life completely. Are you ready to discover it? 10. Trust in what's coming. Imagine you have a small garden, and you decide to plant carrots. You prepare the soil, plant the seeds, and water them every day. In the first week, you check the soil with excitement, hoping to see green sprouts. But nothing happens. Am I doing something wrong? You wonder as you examine the dirt. You keep watering patiently, but another week passes. Still nothing. Frustration creeps in. Is there something wrong with the seeds? Maybe I'm not watering enough. What you can't see is what's happening underground. The roots are hard at work, growing, preparing to break through the surface. From above, it looks like nothing is happening, and that can drive anyone crazy. But don't give up. All that effort is bearing fruit even if you can't see it yet. And when those first shoots appear, it'll all have been worth it. Because, my friend, carrots aren't in a hurry, but when they come, they're here to stay, strong, steady, and just as you imagined. Do you see now? The same thing happens when you're trying to manifest what you truly desire. Even if it seems like nothing is changing, everything is moving in the right direction. Your intentions, your efforts, even your energy are paving a path you just can't see yet. And when you least expect it, that's when the results will arrive. Let's be honest, no one likes to wait. But what if I told you that patience isn't just sitting around? It's believing that while you do your part, the universe is doing its part too. As Marcus Aurelius said, nature doesn't rush, yet everything is accomplished. Think about a river. It doesn't matter how many twists and rocks it encounters. It never stops. It always reaches its destination, the ocean. Now imagine you're in a tough spot. You've decided your life needs a radical change. Quitting your office job, selling everything you don't need, and setting out to travel the world. Sounds exciting, right? But here comes reality. The first few weeks are a disaster. Your savings disappear faster than you expected. The jobs you thought you'd find aren't there. And you start questioning if you've made a huge mistake. You find yourself trying to control everything, obsessing over finding an immediate solution. But then you remember, you need to trust in what's coming. You start applying what you've learned. You relax, write down your intentions, visualize clearly what you want, and let go of some of that control. And then something unexpected happens. In a casual conversation, someone mentions an opportunity, a work exchange program where you can stay at hostels while traveling. "This is exactly what I needed," you say, jumping with joy. But do you see? You wouldn't have found it if you hadn't let your guard down and trusted in what was coming. My friend, don't get it wrong. Trust doesn't mean crossing your arms and waiting. You have to work at it, but you also need to relax and manifest everything you desire with calm. And when doubts creep in, because let's be honest, they will, repeat this: "I'm doing my part, the rest will come in its time." Write it down if you need to. Put it somewhere you'll see it every day. It's a reminder that you're not alone in this process. Never forget, trust in what's coming. Because while you're planting the seed, life is already working to make it grow. And when you least expect it, you'll be surprised by the fruits you never imagined would come. I invite you to embrace everything we've explored today. Let every pause, every visualization, every act of letting go and trusting be an opportunity to bring you closer to what you truly desire. Remember, every step you take, no matter how small it seems, has a purpose. In that calm and trust, there's no emptiness, only possibility. That's where your dreams are born and where they begin to take shape in reality. If you've made it this far, write in the comments, "I relax and attract what I desire." That way, I'll know who the true Stoic warriors are who made it to the end. Don't forget to subscribe, hit the notification bell, and give this video a like so you don't miss out on what's coming next. I also invite you to check out our playlist, which you'll see on the screen. It's packed with ideas, stories, and advice to help you navigate life with more wisdom and confidence. Click it, and let's keep moving forward together. Until next time, take care and keep embracing your inner Stoic.